What's up, everybody? A lot of you have been wondering whether this is done live or it's pre-recorded, as if anything in esports is pre-recorded. No, it's done live, of course. Welcome to the Overtime Show. It's the end of the day here. It's the end of the tournament. We've had 2 grand finals, and we have one of the finalists here joining us right on set. Launders, Pimp, welcome, and Cadian, congratulations on making it to the grand finals. It didn't go your way, though, dude.
No, it didn't. It didn't. I mean, tough luck. I guess the win streak had to end at some point. We managed to do 12 series in a row without losing.
Yeah, that's pretty fire, man. That's.
I mean,
only 12?
Yeah, only 12. I mean,
with
that's
the new
bad.
lineup too. Like, I like how Shush was in the interview. You know, like, oh, you know, I hadn't played for 3 months. It's like, oh yeah, there was a big roster change.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we really wanted to win. I mean, we wanted to go to the spring finals or whatever.
You didn't care that much.
No, but the thing is, if we won this game, won this game, Shoes and Refresh, because it didn't play any games in 2021 before this team, we could have said, or they could have said that they had been unbeaten for 5 months of 2021. That would have been pretty awesome, but yeah, things didn't happen.
That's already pretty insane. I like, when we look at the roster changes, it was like, most people knew Shush and Refresh underrated, but it kind of felt like there was some kind of emergency rotation happening. And then not only was there no honeymoon period or downturn, it was just getting better and better. Was it better than you expected as soon as you brought them on, or did you realize like how good they actually were?
I mean, I knew, we knew, but I mean, let's just take like the HLTV comment, the Reddit comments. All of them are like, "What's the work doing, man? Why are they changing?
Right,
What's this?" And then 1 week into it, yeah, I knew Refresh had the potential, guys. I remember him from Optic. Oh yeah, Shush, the Mad Lions guy, you know. Everyone was like that. Like, no one thought, like, legitimate, I think 80% thought it was a bad change at first, but it was like studied quite heavily. We looked at the roles, we looked at the personalities, and I mean, it was a qualified guess, estimated guess.
Did you ever consider me?
We considered it, but I saw the stream highlights, you know, it's going downhill for you these days.
He's just afraid I would take over the AWP role, that's all, man.
Dude, with that ended 1 career already, we don't need to do that again. How does it feel with the rivalry with Gambit, though? It really feels like you guys are really evenly matched. Like, every time now, it feels so good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fantastic CS to watch. I'm not going to complain. The more we get to see it, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, they're difficult to play against, for sure. They have a very... passive style, or I would say that they're, I don't know, they just don't get tired of waiting. You know, you stand there, you don't want to push anything, and you have to find the smallest of margins, the smallest of timings to do your pushes, and if not, they just have these small, like, 1 flash, 2 smokes kind of things. It's not like, I think they're the most default-based team we've seen in many years of Counter-Strike, and they are just so methodical in the way they do it. You catch Hobbit 1 time on a peak, you can't make the same one twice. He will jiggle you. He will mess you up. So yeah, we have some rivalry. I mean, the only thing is that I kind of disliked the interviews from them from the Pro League final, where they were like, "Oh yeah, I mean, we lost Mirage. We were very tired."
Yeah, they said tired. As if you weren't also there.
Bro, we were all tired. We all played for 7 hours. I mean, that's not an excuse, you know. Like, fair play to them. I think they're an amazing team, but. The tired excuse, nah.
To be honest, you're a little weird, though, because at the DreamHack Open Fall, my favorite story to tell about Cadian, it's just 27 maps to win 33 grand for first place, and they had to play every good team because it was an RMR, like, open fall. And then in map 5 versus Vitality on Mirage, he has, like, the insane performance. You're like, you're the oldest guy on the team. Like, where's the stamina coming from? And then you do the same thing again. So, like, did you get tired?
I mean, yeah, in a way, yes, and in a way, no. I mean... Of course, it's insanely difficult to play 5, 6, 7 hours of concentrated and focused CS. And a lot of the comments are like, how is Heroic still keeping the mood up? How are they being so proactive with their communication, with their vibes and so on? But, I mean, at the end, when you see the finish line, I mean, we all know it from whatever we do. When you see the finish line, like, maybe some of you guys as well, you've been on a broadcast for 20 days in a row, you're like, oh, would it never end? Yeah. It's the final day, you know that you'll give it you everything, and it's the same for us.
Yeah, day 15 is bad, day 20 is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you talk about a couple of things? I had questions from overall. So, like, on Inferno, they were really passive on the CT side. Did that catch you off guard? I can't remember them being that passive last time they played against you.
I mean, they were very passive as well. I don't recall many other teams playing that passive on Banana. I mean, sure, they'll throw a deep smoke and a deep molly once in a while, but you're never scared of them, like, pushing down, making the aggressive Banana takes anything. Not even joking, their default CT setup is Hobbit jiggling spawn with a Molotov and Nefani on top of Fishbox. That's the default setup.
You threw a couple of nades at him.
We did. We wanted to do the same last time. They adjusted quite well, but I mean, the problem is that Shiro as well is such a passive AWPer, taking like the passive arch angle most of the rounds. You won't get any like sneaky, peeky up mid. And when you execute an A, like Exile and Intas, so passive, you don't really catch them. And these guys...
So what are you doing? How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, well, it took a lot of studying of like what's the routines. These smokes they throw in the beginning of the round means they'll end like this later on in the round. And I mean, I guess you could see Vertigo. I saw our last game against them 4 or 5 times, and the last 3 ones, I studied everything to make sure that we knew their moves. And what do we do on Inferno? Like, you try and notice their tendencies, right? And we could see, for example, Intas is a lot like backside, and the thing is with Exile, he throws this like gimmicky one-way smoke in apps, and then he basically never plays. I don't know what the
on the balcony
we used
angle?
we used the word D, and then
right. Which one was that? Once upon a time in CS, we you know the names.
We don't use that word. But he since he doesn't have the smoke, like if you know electronic, you know Magisk, they'll sit there in big pit, we can call it.
Sure.
You molly it, they smoke kind of one way. Yeah. Like he doesn't play it like that. So you try and find out what can we do. We tried the front side smoke. And the flashes to block off the guy inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some things worked and some things didn't.
I'm more curious to you, Cadian, as in a personality, right? Because it's not a secret that the progression you've been through the last couple of years, or the last 4 years, have been quite insane. I remember when we were playing together, with no offense, back then you weren't the most talented guy. Back then you weren't really a guy that I personally thought would ever make it to the top scene. Seems like to me the last year and a half, not only have you found success within Heroic, but you as an individual, as a player, when we're standing on the desk, we're talking about you being a difference maker. Yeah. Have you put in extra hours in deathmatch, in involving yourself, or is it just pure confidence and belief in the team, I guess?
I've put in more hours, but also way more effective hours, right? So, I mean, you see these young guys, and no offense, love my teammates, love the other guys doing it, but playing like 5, 6 FPLs, 5, 6, 7 phases, like, I don't think that's necessarily the way of improving the most. Like, rather go in and play like 30 minutes, concentrated deathmatch, break, relax, reset, 30 minutes again, and then maybe play 1 game or execute or watch a demo, review those things. I think that's way more productive than just playing like 6 or 7 phases non-stop.
But if s1mple does it, it's got to work, right? Like...
Yeah, I mean, s1mple's a different beast, and we all know that, right? s1mple's a different beast, but yeah, I try to be more methodical with my time. I think just as a human, as a leader, I've grown a lot. I found my style way more. I mean, statistically speaking, if you look at my previous teams other than North, GG.
That's where everyone goes to die. So.
Yeah, exactly. Other than North, like the previous Rogue iterations and so on from NA, like my stats were kind of similar to what they are now. Obviously, this is a different ball game because of the opponents.
Tier 1 games too.
Yeah, but I mean, majority of my kills has never been. I mean, yeah, I'm fast and so on, but I'm not as fast as s1mple, you know. So it's been due to correct placement on the map and rotations and so on, and I feel like I can do that the same against these teams.
Yeah, so because actually, one of your most interesting stats, I think, for last year, I was looking at like who's going to make top 20, is you had even slightly better stats versus top 5 and top 10 than top 20, which most people it deprecates a bit. Sure. And, you know, it might be close and still very good. Cadian's just like slightly above for like the highest level. Can I get your opinion about, like, say, Niko, for example, who's taking on the op role as a new player? What does it look like for you from the outside? Is like you have so much experience opping in the tier 1. Is that something that it's like a natural gift, how comfortable you're going to be versus the tier 1? Or is there a certain amount of like studying that you had to do to like get to the level where you're comfortable and like actually pulling off better stats versus better teams?
I mean, sometimes I feel like it can be easy against the better teams because, I mean, yeah, they will maybe flash the default angles and so on more. But, you know, when you play against, like, Spirit or something with Mia, he's going to be behind you or push through some smoke or do something, like, sketchy. Where against some of the top-tier teams, in a way, they're just more predictable because they want to play, like, perfect Counter-Strike. Yeah. And that essentially allows me to... I know what they're up to, you know. I know that they'll throw in a default and so on.
But you've heard the CIS teams are like, all the European teams play the same. Yeah. Like they're all the same. It's not. There's no difference between one or the other. They all play the same style. Yeah. And I think you just nailed it, right? Like to try to play like this ideal form of CS. So that makes your prep much easier in that sort of scenario.
I mean, people have developed a bit, but for example, I remember maybe like 1 or 2 years back on Overpass when we were CT. Yeah. Like first buy round, I would just always say, listen, let's go 3 or 4 CTs A. Because what will they do? They'll try to gain bathrooms control, connector control. Yeah. They won't just rush B in the first weapon round. And I mean, things has changed. People has gotten way more insane and so on. So that theory doesn't work as well anymore. But
you did something similar. So like there was a round where you had a read on like they were going ladder room control a lot. Tessus was just mopping them up, right? Yeah. And then one round you're sitting in front of T connector and they go B this round. Yeah. And you sent, I think, Refresh to stack its pools with 3B, and nobody was ladder. And I kept talking about like, he's confident no one's coming ladder. Was that because of how much pressure there was earlier on, and that was a read? Was that your call?
I mean, so the thing about a lot of these positions, let's say you say T-mid on train, let's say you have pop on train, and you've shown the presence, you've gained the control.
Sure.
Not many people are just gonna dry go down the ladder or dry go into T-mid. So, I mean, I told the boys, fuck it. Sorry.
Sure.
No, go for it.
If they go silent down pop, that's it, that's the round, but no way, because Tessus has already been in there. Like you said, it's also to do with the confidence of like, he has nailed them a few rounds there, so they might not want to go there. So that's why I just posted on T-mid. I knew that no way that they'll just come down instantly on pop.
And then Refresh got that 3K spray down. Like
He said that it nearly went wrong, is that true?
It was just very
pretty bad
close.
spray, not gonna lie. Like, he was moving back and forth.
It was just really close. Like if he didn't hit every bullet, he would have not got the third kill.
He kind of missed 10 bullets before.
I mean, I was like,
that's a certain point.
No, I mean, close to dying at every moment.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
sure.
But yeah.
He nailed it.
I was like, with 3B, the first one dies, second guy gets a kill, dies. I'm like, no, can't happen, you know?
Yeah.
We
How
stacked the right
frustrating
place.
is that as a caller? Like when you have the, I remember right from my time and your frustrations as well. How frustrating is it having the perfect call, knowing exactly what's going on, translating that to a teammate and then still dying?
Yeah, that is very annoying. Because, I mean, especially when you're like, you're stacked on a bomb side. Essentially, when you lose, it's because of misplay from your teammates, right? So either they need to do like some kind of bait and switch, take contact, hide, let the next one have the action, then you peek again, or have some pre-prepared plan of like what utility are we going to throw. Sometimes it's like people just, I'll go to this corner. Okay, I'll play this corner, and then the first one dies, and there's no like ping pong.
Yes.
You're like, guys, listen. Even though we're stacked and we know they're coming, you need to make a plan still of how to like defend this bomb site.
Was that a focus point with your new members, like the young members as well?
Yeah.
Is that something you've been working on?
For sure. I mean, we have tried to get them into a lot of the concepts that we're working with. I mean, obviously, I don't know the amount of concepts that other teams has, but we have quite a lot. We have really developed a lot of concepts, a lot of keywords, a word that has a meaning of like shit ton of information, right? Like this, if you say this word, you don't have to like, oh, I'm behind everyone, please hide, you know, like those kind of things. We have a keyword, you say that, people trust the keyword. Don't sit and spam the TeamSpeak and so on. So
we have a lot of Kerrigan. I feel like I've heard this from Kerr, like a similar thing where he has keywords that he uses.
Yeah,
is that a Danish thing or is that a?
I mean, I think there's just been some. Maybe Pimp knows from MSL as well. He had this like frys, which means like freeze. And like basically, so what we do is okay, you have a keyword like that. Make sure that everyone understands the meaning of it.
Right.
We made a different one than freeze because ideally, yeah, you can freeze, but you are still allowed to move. And like, if you say freeze, everyone just, okay, I'm here,
Sure.
no, which is not the case. So we did a lot of that. Obviously, I can't reveal all of them.
Sure. Yeah, not asking for the trade secrets, but
yeah. we have some which is pretty OP. We have some which is pretty OP. I mean, to elaborate on that, the entire talk with like online versus LAN, I think like we have developed a lot of fundamentals that I'm not saying we can replicate the results one-to-one or anything, but we have made a good fundament for the future.
That was one of my questions, though. When I look at your lineup, when I look at your player profiles as well, I remember, was it Katowice last year was one of your first big tournaments you won as well with Tessus on the lineup, and he talked to us and spoke about how he was going back and forth in the toilet because he was having a bad stomach and he was throwing up because he was nervous. Do you think that player can translate from online, the way he's playing right now is fantastic, into LAN as well? Or is that going to be tough?
I mean, there's going to be situations where the TeamSpeak and so on is going to be more chaotic. Like, let's not pretend, you know, for sure. But what I also think is, I think actually you experts and so on are really good at like explaining right now that okay, online CS has been going on for soon 1.5 years. You know, it's not the same. Like, it's not like you can't just say, oh, the LAN teams are back in when we start again. You know, because a lot of things has happened since. The confidence is different. We know we can beat these teams.
Right.
But also, I will say that I think that due to the COVID situation and how things will develop with events, we'll go from online, we'll go to studio, we'll go to arenas with audience, right? So we'll have the studio experience of seeing your opponents in the eyes and hearing them yell and scream. Get used to that. Damn. Get next to you. Next step. Damn. You know, like it's not gonna be like we go from sitting at the basement to 11K people.
Cato.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Well, it's gonna be mostly you yelling anyway. Not everyone does that, so you can maybe show your teammates how to intimidate.
Just bring back Copenhagen Games.
Yeah.
There we go.
the days,
Now, then
man,
you get
huh?
like the
Both
next...
yes and no, right? There's good parts about that event and
There's real good parts about that event.
I feel that was the best event ever.
good time.
Should you talk about Tessus at all? Because like I feel like he was very close to top 20 last year.
Yeah.
He didn't actually make the top 20 list, right? No.
Maybe like Tigger.
Stats-wise, he was definitely like in argument for it for sure. But
I think other than Stone, like one of the reasons Tigris gave that I wasn't on, and maybe it was the same with Tessus if he was in like the top 25, whatever. It's that the first 4 or 5 months he didn't really play a lot, and also they weighted the LAN events a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy obviously mechanically very, very good. He actually plays a lot of the difficult spots as CT, the ones that not a lot of people want. B-Abs, Mirage, Rambo, Nuke.
yeah.
But it's his style. It's where he feels comfortable, and he also runs in often at as first as T. If you look at the mechanics of him, absolutely insane.
His spray is nuts, man.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Yeah, and like,
and then pistols as well, dude. I keep picking him for my fantasy. Like I put the pistol boost on that guy.
try to ask him this question next time. Similar, he's like, my pistol's so bad. My pistol's so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Lies, bro.
He just keeps making me points. I'm fine with this. Yeah.
Well, he's better with the Glock because he can shoot it a little bit faster. He's like a bit of spraying it, tapping it. But one of the things, for example, everyone remembers his spray transfer on jungle to stairs.
That was Cadian to that. Yeah.
The Cologne final. And one of the things I'll say about him in a situation like that, of course, a little bit of maybe luck, but I wouldn't say this about many players, but he's one of the few that if you like made him do it again or put him in the situation, he could actually do it again. Like
not like your clutch and Mirage.
Exactly, not like my clutch and Mirage. Never that thing again. Exactly. So yeah, he's really good. I'm happy to have him on my team. One of the most undervalued things about him is his work ethic and his ability to take the criticism and work on it. You can ask him to watch a demo, you can ask him to do stuff. You know that the next day when we start, he is going to be prepared.
Yeah.
So why didn't you give up? Okay, after the flashpoint happened,
The FBX drama, yeah.
That was...
We all remember shirtless Cadian.
That was not fun, and like, I know you probably had an accurate perception of what other people felt about you at that time.
Yeah.
That you could have been one of those players who just disappeared and then everyone forgot about, and then it wouldn't have been a big deal, and it was just another story of like, well, you know, it's rare to see the, you know, the comeback. Yeah. But now you recovered Heroic, had a really successful online period, and then now I've done it with a new extra 2 players. What keeps you going, and like, what is actually your goal in CS?
I mean,
just win a major.
So if we rewind back to North, like after the stint at North, I was not far from being like, okay, maybe I should just study, do what the normal people do, you know, get a normal job, study, go to parties, like these kind of things. But I think when I joined Heroic, I had some amazing teammates, and Stown especially, but also Burrow. But like I have a special connection with Stown. Like he is one of the reasons why I wanted to continue playing. We really have a tight relationship, and I want to do good with him. And he fired a spark in me as well. Like obviously as well. I know Jacob has talked about this as well on the desk. Like if someone is getting benched, it's gonna like fire an inner spark in them to like prove everyone wrong. And I guess like I still had that feeling of that I want to prove people wrong.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the main reasons why I didn't give up. And yeah, thank God with the things that's happened since.
I feel like you're a guy, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? You're kind of getting fueled by the hate as well, in the sense that in the last 4 years, right, you've been kicked from a lot of teams, you've been benched, and a lot of people have been thinking about you that you weren't good enough. So when you look at my face, when you look at MSL, when you look at all the players you've had in the past, right, you look at us and you must be feeling like
a series of
like,
punchable faces.
Yeah, but I feel like you must be feeling some sort of like inner fire, right, to just prove us wrong. We were the one who told him he wasn't good enough. Like,
sure.
We were the one who told you that he couldn't make it. So that must be sort of the sense that fuels you as well, right? Fueled by hate or fueled by motivation?
Well, he wasn't going to say anything, Pimp, but...
Yeah, I mean... I throw myself under the bus, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean...
you don't hate me, do you?
No, I don't, Jacob, I don't. I mean, other than North, like the last 3 or 4 years, I really haven't been replaced on any team. So it was maybe more like you said in the previous stages of my career, because a lot of things has happened since, but... I mean, the problem is, what am I going to do now then? With all the hate, all the love from the clutches and the hype and so on, like, I'll just give up. No, but yeah, for sure. I mean, when people doubt you, I guess we all know the feeling like someone is in the chat, oh, London and Scrawny, or Mikkel, why are they casting this final?
me,
you're like, you're like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna show them that I'm an amazing caster. I'll fuel the fire. I'll give them everything, and like that's the same mentality that I'm running around with. That I want to do my best. I want to prove people wrong, but I also I have this insane passion for CS. I have this insane passion for winning. So I mean, you could also play me in Ludo or whatever. I would nearly bring the same hype, you know. Like, I just like winning a lot, and I like team games a lot. Like that feeling of like seeing your teammates.
Together, yes.
Like you talked about some things on the server. You watched things. You try to get yourself better, and you see him just do what we agreed on and like develop. And he made a mistake. The next time we played the same map, he fixed it. Like. That's just like one of the best feelings ever, knowing that you develop together as a unit, and it really requires a specific and a difficult environment for people to expose themselves, their feelings, and to be able to take the criticisms. Because we all know, like, someone criticizes you and says, hey, man, this was not a good play. You should really consider using your grenades different or something. And everyone's like, yeah, but I did this because of this and this and this, you know.
Sure.
Like, but we really have a special group right now where people be like, I see your point. I did it for this reasoning, but what you're saying definitely makes sense. I'll try to consider it for the next time. And
teammates that don't deflect? Oh my God! In North America, holy.
Doesn't exist. But that's literally what I was about to say. Because I guess right now the big thing is like the team therapist or psychologist or sports psychologist or whatever you want to call them. But like some teams have that in terms of here's a sports psychologist. Talk to the sports psychologist. That's the impartial, non-judgmental thing you can vent to, and then he or she, whatever, will sort it out.
Yeah.
Do you guys have one of those as well for Heroic, or is it just you guys as the players?
I mean, we have Trolled Rubble, who's like our performance and mental coach, and the fun part is his father, Lars Rubble.
He's
the Astralis mental coach. That's true. But the thing is, they'll both love that I'm saying.
They just get around.
They'll both love that I'm saying Rubble. Yeah. They love it. But
the Rubble lineage.
He's really good. No, he's really good. And in the team we have right now with the current players, I can say that we have already had like 2 talks, me, him, and ex-player, where I've come to him and said, listen, I feel like there's some things we need to talk about in how I feel in regards to this player and his actions in specific scenarios.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the guy who's like facilitates that conversation. So he'll be like, okay, listen, now Kasper talks, you just listen, you let him finish.
Okay.
And then after that, you come with your point of view on the situation, and then Kasper's just quiet. You do that, and you just gain a more mutual understanding of the situation. And obviously, there's a lot of other key elements that he helps us with. But the conversation, like I think you know Jacob as well from playing in the team. The conversation is the most important thing. As soon as you start not talking about the things that annoy you with a player or person, it's gonna build up.
Yeah.
And at some point, you'll smash the desk. You'll be like, "What the f are you doing?"
Okay.
And we don't want that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then Pimp shaves his head, shows up at your door, and says, "I'm sorry, you're off the team." Like,
oh my God!
I don't know if he said I'm sorry. I don't know if he said I'm sorry, but yeah.
They never said they were sorry, man.
One of the things about a big loss, like you're on a 12 series win streak, and whenever you're on a big win streak, you're just not stop winning. That loss hurts way more.
Yeah.
Like. Whenever I'm like in a season, does this loss? I mean, if you didn't come here like directly, would you guys be hanging out in Mumble for like the next hour or two, like silent or talking about what's going on? Discord, TeamSpeak,
Ventrilo. Why not? Let's just go.
Yeah. I mean, we would probably hang around on TeamSpeak. Yeah. I mean, we played. This is the first tournament as well, which we tried to play from home. And the energy is just different, or like it's not the same as having the guy next to you. We have this like online huddle, video call on Messenger where I'm like, because I'm normally always hyping my boys up, telling them stuff, and obviously we try to do it through Messenger, and it's not the same. And I guess the loss is difficult, but I also told the guys from game 3 or something, listen, at some point, maybe longer on in the win streak, but I told the guys at some point we will lose. It's natural. Let's not get thrown off by that. Right now we're on a run where things are going so amazing. Let's not get dethroned by one loss. Like right now, let's aim at the future, aim at what we have ahead of us, our goals, because every day we're getting a step closer to those things. And obviously you're about to lose at some point. And losing to Gambit today is not the worst team to lose to. I might have been wrong, but from the feeling, there's some CT rounds we should have won. We should have closed it. We were 7-0. They threw the good old unplug the mouse tech pause. broke the momentum, GG. But
well, you know.
Yeah, you know. But
Navi
I mean,
playbook.
We'll come back, and I think, yeah, the team is just very, very strong mentally as well. And the thing is, when saying this, I know that it's easy to say when, like you said, you are on a 12 series win streak or whatever, but I can feel like the communication, the vibes, the trust in this team is insane.
I got quite a personal question for you, and I feel I can ask you that because you and I, we know each other. I look at these sneaks, right? They're new and they're beautiful. Money management when it comes to a player like you, I'm just thinking. There's so
That
many,
is not what I expected.
Money
that's not what you
management.
expect. There's so many new players, young players, some of your teammates as well. All of a sudden, you're winning big tournaments, you're earning big money. Is that something you guys are getting help with? Is that something you guys are talking with each other about, or how do you guys? Or how
Get
do
on the
you
money
do it?
phone, ask for them help with the money.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking, right?
How do I do with all this money?
Fat stacks after winning big tournaments, and people are 17, 18 years of age.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something we talked about. I have a guy helping me. I have like a bank counselor. I have a guy who's, I don't know, what's the revisor? What's that?
Financial advisor.
Financial
Yeah,
advisor.
yeah. I have both of those, and I gave the number and the contact information to my teammates. We talked about that. Obviously, you need to spend your money wisely, but I can also say that this team is not the team that buys some random car or uses stupid money on crazy shoes and so on. Like literally, a lot of us comes from families who didn't just throw everything at you and so on. So we know to respect the money and so on. I mean, Tessus is probably the wildest one. Like he won't even buy a freaking sandwich at the store because it's too expensive and so on. So he uses his money wisely. We have to push him and you're like, mate,
He hasn't
listen,
won a major yet.
Enjoy yourself.
he owes us, I'll say this, he owes us muffins and he has for like 8 months or so and he still didn't pay them up. So,
What is this?
Oh, well,
Those muffins.
goddamn.
too cheap to pay his debts. That's crossing the line.
See, that's a bit too far. You're gonna have to
Buy some shoes, pay
get
your
your
debt.
financial guy on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just bought an apartment, so I can celebrate
Congrats.
that.
Congratulations.
Signed
That's
it-
awesome.
Copenhagen?
Yeah, here in Copenhagen. Yeah.
Are they fine with the kazoos or whatever you're using for?
What's that?
No, with the vuvuzelas. What was the noisemakers that
Oh
you
yeah,
were
yeah.
making?
Yeah, it's the neighbors that complain too much. But no, yeah, I signed it 2 days ago,
Nice.
and obviously that's big as well for me. The first thing I really ever bought. I mean, I didn't ever buy a car. Obviously, like you said, Jacob, this.
Do you own
is-
those or are those leased?
Yeah, this thing's kind of new, but I never used money on anything crazy. The bank guy says it as well. It's easy to counsel you. You don't use money on anything. But yeah, I bought an apartment. I guess that's a pretty good investment as well.
It's nice these days because I mean, also orgs pay for most everything,
Yeah.
TOs pay for most everything. Players don't really have to pay for much these days. It's not like back in the day where it's like it's out of your pocket that you're paying for the flights and the hotels and everything.
What? I just have another just weird question about the last lineup.
Yeah.
Borups, like when we were initially when the roster changes came in, like people were like, okay, Borup stats, like they went down. Niko's stats were a bit up, so there's a bit of a question mark there. But what happened with Borup exactly? Was his he was the guy who was like, man, his aim looks insane. Like every kill looks like a headshot. I think Chad said once.
Yeah.
But his, he had like 5 negative events ratings in a row, something like that. So it made sense. But what happened exactly with Borup? Was it a personal motivation issue? Was it his roles? Did he start losing confidence? Or
I mean, it's obviously difficult to talk about like changes post changes, and Borup is such a good guy, and I mean, let's not forget we made it to #1 in the world with Borup and Niko, and we won Cologne, we won DreamHack Fall, and so on. I think his role, the role that he ended up having in the team, the role that was like available to him, didn't suit him very well. In different teams, definitely played more like active plays as a CT, like Connect and Mirage and those kind of things, and we just preferred to have Niko's down. Even Tessus at times playing these roles, so he didn't really have the star roles, and I guess it just didn't come that natural to him, and that's why we made the change, because we know Shush is about to take those shitty-ass roles and do the dirty job and so on, and he's amazing at that, so Hunton also knew that, coming from like having played with Shush and Mad Lions and now coaching us, he could see that Shush would just fit in better. Even when we talked with Johannes, took the difficult talk and said that we wanted to go a different route. He said, I hope you get Shoes. So, I mean, he kind of knew why, but he's one of the guys that I hope the most will have success in the scene because his talent is undeniable. I just hope someone is able to lock it, or what is the word? Like
unlock it.
Unlock it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more curious to Niko, right? Because there's a lot of people speculating in the fact that he was doing well and he was having good statistics, he was looking good in your lineup. And I made the point that it's not always problems on the server, it can be off the server as well. Was there anything about that, or was Niko just a pure decision in the sense that you felt Fresh was a better fit for your team?
I mean, both yes and no. I think Niko is one of the best teammates I've ever had. I vouched for him. I told the organization, let's get Niko. So, I mean, I know the guy, I know what he's capable of. But just like me and every other guys in the team, there's pros and cons with every player, with every human. And he, like you can see in the stats and so on, he definitely lifted his part of the weight. But we also had the situation of, okay, we're changing one player. If we have to make another change, this is the time, right? We don't want to rebuild again in 6 months or so on.
Right.
And we also just came to a point where, like, this should never be the excuse of changing, but we stagnated a bit and didn't get the results we wanted. So we needed people who were ready to put in the extra hours again and who were ready to lift the work ethics. And that's why we aimed at Shusha and the Refresh.
Do you have to play as much as Gambit to maintain that level? Like, and is it just like they've mystified the situation and made it seem like they're playing 10 hours every single day, like with no days off or whatever? Do you think about like how many hours you're putting in as a team, or are you just comfortable with the kind of work that you put in? You try to erase for the effort? Are you participating in that at all? Do you think Gambit's like the amount of sheer hours they put is intimidating in and of itself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, but again, like I said, just like my individual play, I feel like in regards to the team play as well, being efficient is the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can use a lot of hours, you can have 8 scrims a day. If the last 2 is just messing around and people are too tired, not focused, it's not going to work. So we try to find the balance. We try to have off days. We try to, especially now, be more picky with tournaments. Like, listen, if you're third in the world, you shouldn't participate in everything. So we're trying to look at that now, look at our calendar.
Snows for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, like, it's different if you're 15th. You need to play every tournament. You'll have early exits, but if you're a top 3 team, you go to the final of Pro League, you win, you go to the final here, you're making deep runs, you end Sunday, you start again Monday, Tuesday, and that's not healthy, so...
But you're also getting more points in the standings, which gets you more invites to the tournaments. You don't have to fight through those qualifiers anymore. This is kind of a situation that we've seen in the past.
That's what he went through last time. He was playing everything. Like, to the point, like, up until Masters or whatever. I mean, you guys had the most maps, besides, like, 4Z or something, in the winter season. And you were also, like, top 5. So the only team nearby that was playing 100 over maps, like 3 months. It was just, like, an insane amount.
Is that your philosophy now? Like, you would rather have quality over quantity? I'm just thinking, like, back in the days, 4 or 5 years ago, you see these CS teams, they were playing, like, 8, 9, 10 maps a day sometimes, whereas some of us Danish teams and European teams were playing 4 or 5. Would you agree that it's better, and I don't know how the practice scene is right now, would you agree that it's better to play 4 or 5 pracs a day and then just skip the rest if you have quality practice over quantity?
This tacks on to the whole CIS region, because basically it's just this CIS versus EU. It's Rocky versus CS all over again. So I mean, like, they're putting in all the time. Do you think quality outweighs the quantity?
For sure. I mean, our default is 4 pracs a day. 2 hours of talk, like dry running, reviewing mistakes.
I just want to go in there. For a lot of viewers, right, that sounds like a low amount of practice, right? But you're saying you have 4 practice a day. That's 4 games, 4 scrims, right? Never 5, 6, 7?
We have 5s at times. Okay. When we feel like we're close to a tournament, we want to add another one, or maybe we want to implement a new map or different things on the map, we'll add another scrim. But I feel like, so our day is from 11 to 18, and we have players who are hungry. So everyone plays either before or after that a lot. Like, everyone has like 80 hours per 2 weeks. And I think there should also be room for A, exercising, B, being with friends, girlfriends, doing normal things, go for a walk. C, like doing the individual preparation, whether that's watching your games, watching the guys you play, like why are they doing this, how are they doing this. So 11 to 18 is the default day, and I think it's quite long because most of the days I like to meet at 10 and watch a demo or do something with Hunten and prepare things for the practice. So that's like 8 hours every day, and we only have Saturday off. So we do a lot of quality over quantity. We can add more, but not a lot more if it's about still being mentally ready for it.
Right. That's the real struggle, is finding the balance.
That's fun though, right? Because you're talking about like the CIS way of practicing, it's completely different.
Well, I was talking with Vendetta, right? Vendetta, I was talking with Vendetta in terms of what Dignitas are going through with their scrims, and he's just like, you get into those scrim lobbies, and the CIS guys are there an hour before you, and they're there an hour after you, right? And, it's every day. They just don't stop. But we've seen that in interviews as well. Hobbit himself said that this is the grind, right?
But it has to be put in a historical point of view as well, because 4 or 5 years ago, the CS scene weren't as strong as it is today, right? So what's changed? Like, do you feel like when you're practicing Gambit or VP or those guys, like, is the quality of practice they give you better than it was 4 years ago? Because I remember back when we played, we didn't want to scrim CS teams because they're just running around, head under their arms and wasting our time.
I mean, there's some teams who's on our ban list. Hellraisers were one of them. Now they disbanded, thank God. They would just, I mean, they would rush every round. Like, you would not be able, like, you would go to the scrim, let's practice these things, and they would rush something every round, and you would get nothing out of it. You would be like, okay, let's just dominate this because they're rushing every round, and you would kill them. You're like, they won't do it again, and they would, and that's just insanity. But I will say one thing: if you practice Gambit, and that's also why maybe their excuse or their saying of like, oh, we were tired on the 5th map, kind of surprises me, is because they are so methodical also in practice. There is not the situation or the position where you won't get jiggle peeked, you won't get flashed, they won't double swing on you. Like, every position, even in practice. Like Hunton said as well, like, I've never seen anyone get owned like this. And like, you guys are doing the right thing, but you're still getting owned by them because, so that concentration level is maybe beyond many other teams because they seem to be very efficient in the practice as well, even though they practice.
You watch Hero, there's 40 seconds left. I mean, he's at the top of mid on Mirage, saving it up, jiggle peeking for the 40 seconds straight, literally just strafing, waiting to save the op.
I mean, some content for you, Londus. Watch the final, watch Train, look at the amount of times where he's not playing for the round in a one-on-one or something, because that happens too often.
You know what? He reminds me of Rops. Like, where sometimes, he doesn't actually think about the time sometimes. It's just like, if he has a perfect situation, he'll win it because he's like out skill and like really good position. But he plays so carefully for himself. And people compare him to s1mple. He's nothing like s1mple. Like, he's like the polar opposite. Like,
actually.
I personally think Shiro right now potentially could be one of the best players in the world, if not the best player. Would you disagree? Like, do you think the way he plays is counterproductive to the team?
Mechanically speaking, he can, for sure. He has a specific style which is very passive, but the thing is, the more people play him, the more tendencies he will pick up on. You know, when you're one-on-one against him, he's not going to push you. He'll wait that extra second, and that's the thing. Then oftentimes people will be like, oh, he's probably sneaking up on me, and you'll like swing or you'll go out, and he's still waiting. So like the amount of clutches I won in the final against him on just hiding, like just not moving and knowing that he's not going to defuse and so on, like was absurd.
So, well, that's the thing, man. Like, what's coming next now? No, because quality over quantity, etc. What is your schedule? What's the next thing for Heroic?
There's some things I can't talk too much about in regards to tournament, but we'll be back at bootcamp for the DreamHack Masters.
Okay.
And we really want to do good there. Our tournament schedule is stacked. Like, after DreamHack Masters, it's Flashpoint, and then I think it's IEM Summer, and then I think it's something else, you know, for the next long time. So it's going to be a busy month, but I think also now as Corona is kind of settling down a bit in Denmark, things are opening more up. When we're physically together, maybe we can do some stuff, you know. Go play football.
Go to
exactly, go to Tivoli. Exactly.
Astralis got a store in there if you want to check it out.
Yeah, get a tour at the Blast Studio. You know, we can do things, you know, and I think that's going to lift the team spirit, the mood quite a lot. But I mean, that's the entire team behind the entire organization who's supposed to, and I mean, their job at the end of the day is making sure that we can perform. And how do we perform the best? We do that when the schedule is at its best, when they make sure that if we are boot camping, we get the right food, we get the right sleep at the right hotel, these kind of things. And listen, we players in the team, we stepped up tremendously. No one expected us to be at this position. Now it's time for the organization to step up as well, and I think they're taking huge steps currently.
Well, fantastic. That's a really good note to end on. Well, thank you so much for actually making it out here on the cab, right? I know it didn't go your way today, but still, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
I mean,
really cool.
that hug from you at the entrance,
it's
worth it all.
It's been a year. It's been a year, right? Since we see each other. It's so crazy how time flies. When you said a year and a half already of online CS, I was like, dude, it flies. But you know, speaking of things flying too, you know, that's it. We're all flying home tomorrow because
it goes so fast.
It's the end of the Blast Showdown,
man. Week already,
It's been an entire week already. But guys, As always, a real pleasure working with you. Cadian, as always, a pleasure commentating your games.
Thank you.
And well, best of luck going forward in the next tournament. And that's going to be it from us here at Blast. This was the overtime. This was the showtime. And what's coming up next is the spring finals. And that'll be happening in roughly a month's time. So be sure to look forward to it. Be sure to follow Blast on all the social. Check the YouTube for all the VODs. If you missed anything, definitely hit that up. But that's going to be it from us here in Copenhagen. And we will see you next time.